That's 10:32 by my clock. So good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name's Marcus Elsom. I'm the Director for Bids and Programmes for Thales in the UK. For those of you who haven't heard of Thales, we're one of the biggest companies no one has ever heard of. We are a tech company, global tech company, operating in the defence and civil markets, and we do everything from sonar to submarines to the International Space Station, and a lot of things in between, including British passports and SIM cards. What I'd like to do today is introduce you to the Project Data Analytics Coalition, and specifically the Risk Management Product Group. But I'll introduce you to the coalition, why we're here, what the challenge is that we're trying to drive, how we're looking to meet that challenge with the solutions that we're trying to put in place, and then go specifically into the product groups, the risk management group itself, and what hopefully you're able to do to help and join us in the really exciting journey of data analytics and AI. The first thing that I want to do, though, is do a quick poll. So we're going to open up a Mentimeter poll. There are 5 questions on this. We'll do one at the end as well, just to gauge people's view on things. Get your phones out, grab hold of the QR code, and we'll crack on. To go for it, Matt, let's go to the next question, or the first question, I should say. So how confident are you that your current risk register reflects what actually drives risk on your project? Is your risk register real and does it work? Okay, 2 more to go. Eleven out of 12. Let's move on. What percentage of your project's risk effort is focused on theatre versus genuine insight? It's a good question. Okay, that's good. That's suggesting we are getting more genuine insight than theatre. Again, let's move on, Matt. Got to bosh through these quite quickly. Will AI and data analytics fundamentally change how we manage risk within the next 3 years? Okay, let's move on. I think we've probably had a couple of people joined that aren't part of this, because the number's gone up in terms of attendance. Which statement best reflects your view? I'm not going to read them out. You can read them yourself. Okay, thank you for that. Excellent. First time I've actually used Mentimeter, so that's quite good. It's quite nice to see the feedback in real time. So we'll do one of those at the end as well, assuming that I don't talk too much so that we run out of time. So let's crack on. So what's the challenge? And this is particularly written to create effect, I think. I mean, traditional project delivery is slow, reactive, and inefficient. It may not be in some areas, but certainly there are some really good examples out there in the public domain, and I'm guessing in each of our own businesses where we don't deliver what we said we'd deliver when we said we'd deliver it for the cost that we said that we'd do it. We lose billions as a country through unaddressed variances and poor foresight. We all know that a baseline never survives the journey from start to finish, but we always hope that we'll finish at the right point in time, delivering what we expected to deliver. Both industry, so from my perspective in my industry, oh, go back one, too fast. So from my industry perspective and from a government perspective, we need to do things smarter. We need to focus on data and analytics. So the government white papers, the National Audit Office, and the press are all saying, why can't we deliver projects better? You look everywhere now, AI is everywhere. Project data analytics, not so much. It hasn't got not quite as sexy as how AI has taken over the world. But data analytics and AI are transforming everywhere you look, every domain, and we've got to keep up from a project delivery perspective. I don't think it's optional. I think it's how we stay relevant, how we stay competitive, and how we're ready for the future. Next slide, please. So I love the image on the right-hand side. I'll talk more about Project Brain later. I don't think we've got a choice. I think we're managing now in the same way that we did in the last century. I think from a risk perspective, we are focused on risk registers, heat maps, status reports. If it's done badly, a risk review is probably the dullest meeting on earth, where people are just blindly ticking boxes. If it's done well, then it's positive and it's a forward-looking horizon, and it can be really, really powerful. But we're just humans. We don't see the patterns in big data. We don't see the patterns over time. We rely on our rules of thumb and our heuristics to get by, whereas actually the data itself can tell us an awful lot, and it can give us the foresight to put things in place to protect the future. And I think if we don't change and we don't embrace that data and the power of AI, then we'll be out of the loop. Our competition will be embracing that. They may be buying it in, they may be developing it themselves. I'll talk more about that later. But actually, I think we have to change. We don't have a choice. The transformative power of AI and data is that survival for our profession to be able to deliver what we say we're going to when we say we do it. Next one, please, Matt. So data analytics itself, so what is it? So the use of past and current data to enable effective decisions on the way we look at the future. We tend over the last however many years to look backwards. So our project reviews tend to go, what did happen? If we're lucky, we say, why did it happen? And then we might just touch on what's going to happen. Data and AI and data analytics gives the power to be predictive, to be able to say this is going to happen in the future based on the data and the projections of the data from the past. If we're lucky, we get to the prescriptive view, which actually says this is going to happen in the future. Do these activities to prevent it happening. If we can get to that position from a risk management perspective, where we can preempt things that are going to happen, use foresight to see what's going to happen, then we can actually put in decent mitigation plans that change that based on both our historic data and pushing that forward into the future. Next one, please, Matt. So push yourself to the future. Imagine a few years' time. It's happening now in certain areas, but I think in the next 2 to 5 years, I think there'll be a future where we're leveraging the power of AI to auto create things. We're moving everybody up the food chain. I think it will start in the PMO from a project specific perspective, and it will flow through into everything that we do, all the way through to auto generation of our key project, not just documents, but schedules, risk registers, negotiations, response to proposals, bid documents. We'll have automated data flows. We'll have AI agents that do things for us, orchestrated by other AI agents that integrate data sets and provide recommendations and prescriptive analyses as to what we should do in the future. We'll be able to have data sensing feeding into our systems to really maximize flow, whether it's a construction site, whether it's in a factory, or whether it's in a complex engineering development cycle. We already know that the big software players are finishing code stubs with AI, and the traditional software engineering role, particularly for Microsoft as an example, is changing fundamentally. We'll be able to aggregate that big data and run simulations, the equivalent of Monte Carlo on steroids, for many decision points across the project, and use that to work out what we do next. And I think from a pure risk management point of view, we will do much less of the guesswork. I'm guessing as a human what I think might happen, and we'll be using historic data, what we've done in the past, to model variances for the future. So variance analytics, I think, will start to be a big part of how we do risk management in the future. In the back of the pack, there are a couple of links to some of the books that Martin's written. The Next Gen PMO one was the one that got me engaged in the coalition. I saw it online. I liked Martin's thinking, and connected with Martin, and from there brought Towers into the Data Analytics Coalition. The Next Gen Risk Management one really does start to project a vision of variance analytics as opposed to traditional risk management. So the links are there. They are free books. They are well worth a read, to start opening up your mind really as to where some of this stuff can take us. Next one, please, Matt. So the things I'm talking about there, this is here now. You only have to go online. There are a number of niche providers out there that are shouting about their ability to take a look at your data and project where your projects will end up, or your portfolio will end up in 12 months' time. There are companies out there that can auto-generate schedules from RFPs. They strip the RFP, create a work breakdown structure, and auto-generate a schedule. There are people out there that can do all of that themselves. I'm guessing that most of our organizations are nowhere near that yet, because we have our own processes and our own sets, and we're and our own data challenges to be able to get there. But all of those things are here now, and they are absolutely accelerating. You've only got to look at the pace of change of some of the Gen AI tools, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude. The speed that they're changing is absolutely phenomenal, as is the cost of the compute. That's coming down as well. So from a coalition perspective, we're in the place where we're effectively saying that the future of how we deliver our bids and projects, it's in our hands. It's in our hands to grab. So how can we make it happen? Next one, please, Matt. So why the coalition? So all of those rapid changes are really signifying the way that our profession is going to change. I think we're struggling to keep up with these changes. As I said, embedding some of the really cool stuff that certain vendors have got out there into our organizations is ridiculously expensive and really hard work. And we don't necessarily have our data in a good place to leverage those really clever tools that those really clever people are developing. So we're struggling to keep up. And if we just take that choice to buy in the tools, then we're beholden on those vendors to help them make us work. We're beholden on those vendors to maintain an ongoing service agreement with them. We're keeping those skills into a data science lab effectively, or small part of the organization. Where we actually need to be is that all of our people are coming on this journey. So everybody from the project data support officer all the way through to the program director are thinking about, how can I leverage the power of data analytics and AI, and know how to do that in a really simple way. So for the coalition, it's not about buying in the tools and using AI. It's about upskilling our people, bringing everybody along with us, and collaborating at that large scale, so that we go on the journey and we build the journey together. So not only do we create those really cool tools, but we use our people. We help our people to learn how to create those. And that way we drive a fundamental cultural transformational change, rather than just stumping up a couple of £1 million and buying in a really, really clever tool, and then not really knowing how it works. To do that, that's a big ask. That's a big vision, and to do that, we need lots and lots of people to get involved with that vision and to get trained. We need to put some process around it. It's not going to happen by itself. We need to architect the vision, and we need to be able to scale it. And that's what I'm going to talk about over the coming slides. Next one, please, Matt. So who's in the Project Data Analytics Coalition? You can see some of the names on the right-hand side there, some big organizations that deal with fairly, very hefty challenges. So it's more than just a collective of like-minded organizations. What we're trying to do is from a client or customer perspective, because most of our organizations are near or at the top of the food chain, to drive that transformational change right across our profession and also down through our supply chain. So as we progress with the coalition, we're really pushing to bring our supply chains on board. The end goal effectively will be to be able to contract on the basis of transparency of data and the use of AI in ethical and sensible fashions. So the idea is that we're creating a platform for that innovation, that collaboration, and to change the way we do things. Next one, please, Matt. So the idea isn't just to improve the delivery of our own projects as Thales or EDF or Rolls-Royce or the MOD, but to inspire others, and that altruistic view of how do we take our profession forward from a bid and project management perspective. And there are some key tenets of the coalition which would do that. So everything that we do is open source. Obviously not the data. Nobody's seeing my Thales data. Nobody sees Rolls-Royce data, EDF data. What they do see are the frameworks, the concepts, some of the code, some of the Power BIs, all the things that we develop as part of this we share. And the aim is that we do that in a standardized way. So all those frameworks and approaches are standardized at source when we develop them. And as a result, we can share them, open source them, and we can all leverage from each other. And I'll give you some examples of that later. The idea, as I said earlier, is to enhance our capabilities within each of our organizations so that we build a journey rather than buy a journey. And how do we improve project delivery? How do we get to the point where we can be accurate in our forecasts and we don't hemorrhage millions or billions of pounds as a country when we set projects up and then we effectively set ourselves up to fail because we can't deliver to the challenges that we set ourselves. So all of this needs a factory. So we've developed a solutions factory that takes right from what problem are we trying to solve, all the way through to how do we scale that and implement that, not just in my organization, but in other organizations as well, and capture the return on investment, whether that's pound notes or whether that's cultural and behavioral change and actually better delivery. So that's what the coalition's all about and some of the key tenets that we've got. Next one, please, Matt. So what I want to show now is a video. Don't click go yet, Matt. So it's about a 4-minute video and it'll build that picture that you can see on the screen there. And this brings in all of the elements that the coalition are working on. So it brings in apprenticeships through the level 4, level 7 apprenticeships funded by the government through the Project Data Academy. It brings in the product groups. It brings in the project brain. It brings in large language models that we're using to help us get the consistency to enable the scaling. And so let's play the video. It's 4-ish minutes. Have a listen, and then we can move on from there.
An ecosystem approach to project data analytics is essential if we collectively want to break down silos, accelerate innovation, and unlock the full potential of our data to drive smarter, faster, and more impactful project delivery. By pooling insights and solutions, sharing best practices, and leveraging collective intelligence, we can transform how projects are planned, executed, and assured, creating a future where data-driven decision-making is the norm, not the exception. Learners join the Project Data Academy, funded by UK government. Coalition product groups, scheduling, risk, assurance, etc., develop the jigsaw lids for what the future of each function could look like. These have 3 levels of ambition: refine, enhance, and reimagine. Learners from the Project Data Academy select one of the jigsaw pieces to work on as part of their portfolio of 3 projects needed for their assessment. Members of the product groups develop the ideas for a project into a problem statement. They use an LLM to ensure consistency. The problem statements are decomposed further by learners to define the jobs that need to be performed and the gains and pains that need to be resolved. This provides a consistent approach to problem decomposition. Imagine 2 years from today when we have a decomposition of all of project delivery down to twig ends. Learners and hackers create the solutions. Academy-based solutions will be used as part of their portfolio for endpoint assessment. Projecting success work with high-performing learners stretch them and take them beyond the scope of the syllabus. This raises the bar on the quality of the solutions. Learners create a case study to capture the benefits and impact. They also capture any implementation challenges. Most importantly, it delivers demonstrable impact and value for the parent organisation. Solutions from components to systems are added to the open source Solution Centre for the benefit of all. Coalition members share the insights from implementation. Everything from problem decomposition to solutions, including metadata, is collected within the project brain, a graph database that codifies project delivery. We make these insights available via natural language using the community LLM called Marvin. Learners graduate from the course and become the change agents within their organisations, delivering impact and benefits. We need thousands of people who are proficient in project data analytics to transform the industry, not just skilled, but playing a key role in developing this ecosystem. We use the enablers to ensure consistency in approach and derive insights that help to drive change. We have created an ecosystem that will transform project delivery for the benefit of all. With the Project Data Academy at its heart, we can move the dial as a free byproduct of a free course. Game-changing. Be part of something special.
Excellent. Thanks, Matt, and sorry for the delay at the beginning. Okay, so there's a lot there in terms of that whole ecosystem, but hopefully that video really shows how it all hangs together. And at its core is the joining up of the organisations across the coalition and the learners and the hackathon. So I'll talk a little bit more about those. This has got a bit of a build on it. So if you just click the first one for me, Matt. So this is a slightly different view compared to of the ecosystem. So the solution factory, the coalition, the steering group of the coalition define the foundations and agree an approach. So rules, principles, the priorities and the logical sequence, and how we can actually share data and frameworks and align around common technology. So what we're working on at the moment is how do we define these solutions that are tech stack agnostic. So every one of our organizations has a different technical stack in terms of how we manage our data. Some of us have big data warehouses, some have more distributed data. So all of our solutions really need to be technology agnostic so that we can either apply either no code or apply Python, whichever way that we're building the solution. So we build the project group, so the schedule product group, the risk product group, and the assurance product group are the 3 we've got running. These define the priority topics that we really want to try and unlock. Next one, Matt. Each of those product groups then start building the challenges and then breaking them down into individual problem statements, which we capture on the jigsaw lids. Each of those jigsaw lids, as we heard in the ecosystem, and I'll show you one later for risk, talks about 3 phases: refining what we do, enhancing what we do, and then entirely reimagining how we do it. So we take those jigsaw lids, they define the challenges. We break down each of those jigsaw pieces into its twig ends, the end point where a solution can be generated, and then we define those with a challenge statement. Those challenge statements are then either fed into a hackathon, or they're actually defined by the Data Academy learners who define the challenge and then build the solution. The project brain, as you heard earlier, is a repository with knowledge graph links between all the data that sits in it, and that captures everything that we're doing and provides a intelligent approach to capturing all of the challenges, all the solutions. Next one, Matt. And then we use the apprenticeship projects, the hackathons, and actually internal company projects as well, where we're prepared to share what we do. I'm quite comfortable where we develop something internally that I'm not so worried about the intellectual property of what we've developed, because actually it's how you use it, and we'll never share our data. So we're starting to move down that route where we're actually sharing things that we develop internally, which is ridiculously powerful. So we're open sourcing solutions, and then we can take those solutions and deploy them back into our own organizations. So we've shared solutions from Thales with United Utilities and Rolls-Royce. Rolls have shared back with all the other coalition members, and we're then going, well, okay, how do we implement that within our tech stack? So we're sharing the learning, feeding back into the jigsaw lids, keeping the roadmap moving. So all of that links through the solution center into the product brain. So now talking more about each of the product groups. So the product groups are there to focus in on the challenges. So they're a mixture of subject matter experts and learners with an interest in the particular area. So those that are in the scheduling space, obviously those learners would feed into the schedule product group. So in there we've got, as I said, SMEs and scheduling experts, the same from a risk perspective. So within Thales, my risk SMEs are part of the product group, and we have learners from both within Thales and the other members also in the product group. So we're there to talk about the challenges and the architecture, and to own the design for each of the functional areas, and then really shape the jigsaw lid itself. So we're shaping the challenges and opportunities within each of those areas. We're developing the briefs and the problem statements for the hack challenges, and the top level statements for learners to pick up as part of their assessments. Working on building data sources. So we have within the risk product group a test data set of 3 years worth of risks. So there's 30,000 lines worth of risks in an Excel file, and then about 25,000 lines worth of mitigation actions that correlate to those risks. All of that's open source, and it's all been created. None of it is actual real data, but it provides a really good test bed for learners to then and hacks to then trial solutions on. So the product group provides an integration mechanism to make sure that we are collaborating amongst our team members and all working in the same direction. We're then also gathering return on investment of the solutions that are generated and making sure that we can showcase the impact of those. So we've done a case study on the risk ease dashboard, which I'll show you shortly. Next one, please, Matt. So what are hacks? For those of you who aren't aware of hacks, you basically get a whole bunch of like-minded people in a room. Some of them are project professionals, some of them are interested in data, some of them have got PhDs in data analytics and AI, and we pose a number of challenges, and those challenges are real business challenges that are proposed by members of the coalition, and then the hackers come along, they decide which challenge floats their boat. They get together in teams of 6 or 7. They could be company teams, or they could be totally random. That's entirely up to the learners. And then they spend 2 days hacking, 2 full days hacking. They produce a video at the end, as the submission. Those are then judged, and the winning team gets a monetary prize. All the entry fees go to charity, and then all of the solutions can then be captured and then built on either in future hacks or in learner projects, or in the case of what we did from Hack 23 was to take one of the solutions to the challenge that I posed. We took that internally and developed it. So in October 2024, the challenge was really around how do we visualize enterprise level data. So how do we take this 30,000 line set of risks over 3 years and look at the longitudinal time-based data that sits within it, look at current data, look at the difference between pre and post mitigation, and all of the other good stuff that we like to look at when we're looking at risk data. So one of the teams that won, their product was called Risk Ease. You can see a version of it there. That is actually the live version that we've developed. So the team came back from the hack, and I challenged them and said that was really, really good. They came second, by the way, so they won themselves a prize. I said that's an awesome tool. Let's develop it. I want it live by Christmas. So in about 8 weeks, they took that Power BI solution, tweaked it, changed it, improved it, embedded it within our tool set, and just before Christmas last year it went live on our digital portal, direct interface to all of our risk data, and for the first time ever, because we don't have ARM, we do use ARM but only on mega projects, not on an enterprise level. So for the first time, managing directors, portfolio leads, project managers, work package managers could either look at their individual risk histories, or they could aggregate the data up to a business, to a portfolio or a business or a UK level, to be able to see our exposure from project risk. One of the other powerful elements in there was a data confidence view. So looking across the risk registers, where do we have gaps in our data? Where do we have repeating data that look like cut and paste? So quite a powerful tool. So that, as I said, that was productionized and live by Christmas. We shared the Power BI framework, not the data, with coalition members, and a couple of the coalition guys are now looking at how they can implement that. In March 25, we added another challenge to the hack in Hack 24, and that was all around predictive analytics. So how do we take all that historic data and then look at risk vectors across a number of different categories to project what's going to happen to a particular risk or set of risks or type of risk in the future. I'm still looking at the future horizon. So that the solution that came out of that hack is being developed by one of the Thales level 7 apprentices. So level 7 is master's degree level. And again, I've given the target to get a third version live by Christmas. In June at the hack, so you can see the hacks go on broadly a quarterly basis. The challenge I set was, can you develop an agentic AI risk reviewer? So an AI agent that could look across a data set and make comment on the data, but also then to email risk managers or project managers or portfolio managers salient points about risks, whether that was a trigger point coming up in the next 3 months or whether mitigation actions weren't being completed. That solution is now being developed by United Utilities level 4 apprentice with a view that we'll take that solution and we'll end up with a Riskies version 4. I'd like to say live by Christmas, but I'm not sure about that because it starts to get quite complicated. So that's the power. So a hackathon combined with apprenticeships lead to tangible impact in a business. So it's really powerful. So the roles within the product group, so product managers, they help to drive the direction of a specific product area. So taking one particular challenge and solution, making sure that if there's 5 or 6 projects that are doing the twig ends of that, that they're able to be integrated back together again once each of those core elements have been developed. So, and that's where our product developers come in. So they develop those twig end modules of capability, document them, put them in the solution center, and then we can reintegrate them. Prior to that, we do the problem decomposition, so making sure we've got it down to that twig end itself, getting to the root of the problem. And that's where we're using the LMMs and the solution factory to make sure it's systemized. We've then on the right hand side of here, and this is what I'm hoping this group starts to become. If you don't join the coalition full on, then there's certainly still value to be had in terms of testing some of these solutions, critiquing the solutions either from an SME perspective or a data perspective, but helping test the products, review documents, assuring the quality of the outputs, and providing that SME level support to the developers. Should we need it? Should we end up going down a more theoretical or more practical approach? We've then got advocates who take the solutions and actually implement them, measuring the return on investment, celebrating success, creating the case studies, talking about it, blogging about it, and so on. And then we've got observers, so a perfectly valid category, people that are looking, not quite ready to engage, maybe a bit apprehensive, maybe think that our vision is too big and not achievable. And also people who are just prepared to take whatever's produced as it's open source. So there's definitely a balance there. So that's the kind of roles that sit within the group. Next one, please, Matt. So into now risk management. So we'll look at the jigsaw lid in a moment. So I showed you the next gen risk management book earlier. In there, Martin hypothesizes around where we may end up from a risk management perspective. And this is all around the variance analytics, like I was talking around earlier. So moving away from our traditional risk registers that makes us feel like we're codifying the impossible things to guess, things that may or may not happen. Yes, learning from the past to some extent, but moving towards variance analytics. What are all the moving parts of the puzzle within project delivery or even in the bid phase? What are all the moving parts of the puzzle that we can learn from? How do those parts of the puzzle move as we go through the delivery of the project? How do we capture all of that and then use that to project the future? And that's a big idea. We're not ready for it yet. We're obviously thinking about how we go there, and we're mapping out the journey to get there. But most organisations, mine included, aren't ready for such a radical approach in one big jump. So we've got a roadmap. We use the 3 horizons: refining what we do now, enhancing it, and then reimagining it. If you go to the next one, Matt. So this is the risk management jigsaw lid. I'm not going to talk through every part of the jigsaw piece here. I'll let you read some of those for yourself. What I will describe is how this works. So we've got an overall North Star of variance analytics from a risk management perspective. That's where we want to head. As you go from left to right, you can see the horizons. So refining, improving what we do now, just making it better. Then enhancing it, so new methods, new approaches. How do we create a step change? So you could say that's redefining what we do. And then the third horizon, fundamentally reimagining it. Throw away the rule book. AI first. How do you build a risk management infrastructure that relies on data analytics and AI? And that's the real aspirational end of the jigsaw lid. And then as you go on the y-axis, near the top, at the top of the chart, it's data driven. At the bottom of the chart, it's a bit more existing business model, so much more incremental, all the way through to evolutionary or revolutionary as you get to the right hand side. And as if I pick out a couple of these, so what have you got in the middle there? The top left blue one, chatbot interaction with the risk data and the broader context. That was a hack challenge at the March hack this year. Risk process automation, including reporting. You've seen that in risk ease, the use of risk databases and libraries and risk recommender systems. That's what I talked about, the agentic AI. So you can see that we're pulling parts of these top level jigsaw lids down into the hacks and the challenges. As you go over to the right hand side, you're looking at much more radical elements. So can AI give us insights on where we should be allocating our contingency spend up front? Can we look at how do we bring in risk scoring in real time based on the changing variables in the project? So some really big ideas there. Next one, please, Matt. So one of the elements that we haven't talked about is a product breakdown structure. So that jigsaw lid gives a vision at the top level, but it's chaotic in its nature. because some of the challenges are really, really big, some of the challenges are really, really small. So sitting and mapping alongside the jigsaw lid is a detailed, defined product breakdown structure that we're building right now. So we've got the first draft of that. It runs to quite a few pages because arguably there's quite a few things to address. And at the top level, you can see the structure on the right hand side. So we've got some at the level 2, a series of categories, and then starting to build in as you'd expect, and then talking about what the top level solution is, what pains it addresses, and what gains it gives us. We are nowhere near complete on this because these are still big chunks. You need to probably go down to a level 5 until you get to that twig end that would be an apprentice project or a hack challenge. But we've taken this approach because the jigsaw lids are effectively that innovation-driven approach. So you start with a novel idea, and you build out some big ideas based on creativity, curiosity, and potential. So it's chaotic, it's disruptive, but it does mean that if you go down that route, you're in danger of saying, "What can AI solve?" rather than saying, "What's the problem that I need to solve that could use AI to do it?" So the fact that we're going down a problem-based approach and linking a product breakdown structure with the jigsaw lid means that we start to really understand the context and the requirement. What is it that we're trying to solve? So it's not a tool first thing, but it may well be an AI first, on the basis that actually, if we know the power of AI, we can start to build our processes with that in mind. But we're solving actual real problems. And it means that we can deliver meaningful results because we're challenging and solving problems that are real to industry, government, the businesses that are part of the coalition, or the organisations, I should say. Next one, please, Matt. It's conscious. Keep looking at the clock. So we've got a layered approach to the product groups. We've got a steering group. So at the coalition level, each of the member organisations have a steering group member, and we're there to give that overall leadership and architectural governance, and to set the priorities within the overall coalition, and to really drive the product groups. So from a risk management product group, there are 2 levels. One is I'm in there and I'm doing the product leadership, the delivery, execution. So the SMEs that are part of the product group, the learners, and the contributors and the creators within the product group. And then what we're starting to think it would be a really good idea to maybe engage more of our international colleagues at this forum today is, how do we move towards that tester and critical friend? So you get access to the material through the sole source solution factory, and you get to test things as they come out before they get productionized. You get to comment, review, suggest other directions. I think we'll get to the point where we'll be able to feed into the PBS and the jigsaw lids as well. So that's where we'd like to go. Next one, please, Matt. So taking that previous, the roles, so talking now directly to everyone on the call. So if you're not based in the UK, unfortunately, you cannot take advantage of the apprenticeship scheme. It is very much a UK, and I'll narrow that down even further, in that it's a challenge to get colleagues in Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales on the apprenticeship scheme, because it's an English educational scheme. There are ways that can work, but it's quite limited. So if you're in England, join the academy. If you're not, then step up and volunteer, be part of that development community. If you can help us with the problem decomposition workout, you're able to use the AI agents. They're based on custom chat GPTs, so you're able to access those. If you want to take part as a tester and critical friend, sign up. We've got a form at the end of the session and a link that you can sign up and express an interest on. Be an advocate for us. Look for the outputs, look for the case studies, demonstrate the return on investment, spread the word. That's what we're looking for. Next one, please, Matt. So the Project Data Academy, so as I said, free via the English UK training levy. You've got to be resident in England for over half of the course, which is where the balance between the other nations in the UK comes in. New cohorts are running every single month. For the learners, the organisations have to commit to 20% off the job. So the organisational commitment is making sure that a day a week is provided to learning. There is no financial commitment because all of the fees for the course come from the government. And commitment from the organisation to provide problems for the learners to solve and to solve problems that are set by the coalition. It's building the industry network. It is really, really powerful. So when I got involved with the coalition Q2 last year, went to the first hack, saw the power of the hacks, understood the data academy and the apprenticeships and the free training and the free upskilling. I worked internally and we've created something internally that we call the Predictive Edge program. And we have a cohort of 24 level 4 learners that are all tallies. So it's a closed cohort. All of those guys are building, they're doing their first projects now. All of their projects are linked to our internal roadmap and to the jigsaw lids. So what they're doing is solving our internal problems and solving jigsaw lid problems at the same time. We've also got 5 learners on the level 7 apprenticeship. If you're interested in the level 7, the English funding runs out this year. There will be no more level 7 funding. So there is one more cohort being established. So if you're interested, reach out for that. But it really is a powerful part of the ecosystem. And for me, it's a no-brainer. So the apprenticeship variant that my guys are on is very much a PMO, project delivery variant. So I limited to any member of existing staff, but they had to be associated with project delivery in some way, shape or form. Next one, thank you. So there's the form, scan the code. I'll leave it up there, scan it, touch it if you're interested. And we will we'll find a way. Well, we will send the presentation out because we've got your email addresses because you registered. So you've got the ability to do that. So please, if I know it's been a bit of a whistle stop tour, but if you are interested, reach out through the form and then we can go from there. Next one, Matt. Okay, so I'm going to pause before we do the last poll. I think there are 9 tabs here, so it will probably take just under 9 minutes. Has anybody got any questions, thoughts? If you raise your hand, if not, it doesn't matter. I will count to 10 in my head. If no one's raised anything, by the time I get to 10 in my head, which I'm doing now, then we'll move on. Okay, Mike, I'm assuming we can hear you and you can be unmuted.
Hi, thanks. That was a great. Thanks, Marcus. Great presentation. I applaud the initiative. It's really interesting.
Excellent. Thank you.
I come from a mega projects context background knowledge. I'm an ex-director of the MPA for 11 years, so the Major Projects Association, were one of your members, I know very well. My question is this is all very much about the what I would treat as the data analytics, project control stuff, forecasting, scheduling, costs. Major projects normally fail because we start badly, or we have got very poor governance arrangements in place.
Yeah.
I realise you're focusing on a particular part, but is that bigger strategic thinking about how this might fit into the overall governance of projects, and more importantly, will the decision makers, who are the people we need to bring on board, be alive to the opportunity that this type of stuff provides?
I think we've got a long journey. So we've got an assurance project group, which I guess is the link through to the overall governance framework. I think over the last couple of years, the Product Data Analytics Task Force and the work those guys did with the lobbying and the releases of white paper, and now I guess the UK policy papers on AI in projects is a really good start. I think in terms of the decision makers and the profession, everyone's talking about it, but nobody's really understanding how it's actually going to change the profession from the bottom up, all the way from the project control side, all the way up to how do we how do we govern and approve at a mega project level. So it's definitely on the roadmap. Martin and Andy Murray have been working on a next gen assurance book, which I think will come out over the next month or two. So in the same vein as the next gen PMO, the next gen risk management, and that's got some really good, the drafts that I've seen have got some really good radical ideas in about how we stitch that together. Interestingly, one of the hack challenges was an agentic AI for RFP assurance from a customer perspective. So the MOD put the challenge in that said, when we'll give you an RFP, before you submit your RFP, run the AI agent that we've given you over your submission, and it will tell you where to fix things before you send it to us, so that we don't have to bother telling you. So I thought that was quite good. Okay, thanks, Mike. Let's run the last Mentimeter, and then we'll be good to close. Wait for the thumbs to start coming in. Turn my camera off so it doesn't distract you. Okay, let's crack on to the next one. I didn't actually see how many thumbs came in, but let's go for it. We've only got, sorry, Matt, go back one. We've only got 10 in, and there's 20 odd of us on the call. So let's just go back and give people a chance. I jumped the gun there, sorry. Okay, thanks, Diego. See you, Don. Okay, all right, let's go, because we've got 5 minutes and I've got 11:30. What phrase best captures your view of current risk management practices? Okay, let's move on, because we're not going to get to the end. We should have left a little bit more time for this, but no problem. Okay, so the need for change. What's driving the urgency for change in risk management? Interesting. Okay, push on, Matt. If we successfully combine data, AI, and community expertise, how transformative could this be for risk management? Excellent. Next one. Which areas of risk management could see the biggest leap forward from data and AI? Gosh, lots of options here. I found that one quite hard, because I would have ticked all of them. Okay, keep going, Matt. Got 3 minutes, 2 minutes. Biggest opportunity for risk management if we get this right. Okay, 10 seconds on that one. Pretty good. Do you believe a community-led initiative of this scale can truly transform risk management? And it sure as hell is not going to be easy, and it isn't easy. Excellent. How many more? One more. Can we make it happen? When do you think the inflection point will come, the moment where data and AI approaches overtake traditional risk management? Interesting. I think some people will do it within a year, but collectively across the profession, who knows? Okay. What's the biggest factor that will make or break this community-led effort? Hmm. Excellent. Thank you all for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said, reach out, fill out the forms if you're interested. Stay engaged, connect on LinkedIn, and look out for the next iteration. Look out for the next hack. Come to the next hack. Look at myself or Martin for the hack links. The next one is in October in Crawley in the southeast. And this one's being hosted by Thales, so there's going to be a big risk flavour to it. All the best. Let's leave it there. It is 11:30 now. So thank you very much, all of you, for joining.